Imagine an object from beyond our solar system, weighing 33 billion tons, silently negotiating its way through Earth's atmosphere as if the planet itself were a pliable medium. No sonic boom, no heat signature, no pressure wave, nothing that physics says should be possible. Yet this is exactly what happened when 3-2 Atlas entered the Pacific Ocean, positioning itself above one of the planet's most volatile tectonic regions, the Peru-Chile Trench. Monitored simultaneously by the U.S. Navy's SOS hydrophone arrays, ESA's Sentinel-6 satellite, and the ALMA Observatory in Chile, every system detected the same anomaly. Each independently confirmed the event, and none could explain it. An object traveling at hypersonic velocity decelerated from 110,000 kilometers per hour to near zero in mere seconds, burying itself 200 meters into solid oceanic crust, while simultaneously suppressing every physical effect we'd expect from an object of that mass and speed. To grasp why this defies the laws of physics, consider Newton's second law and the structural limits of materials. Decelerating a 33 billion ton mass so abruptly would generate forces of 1.8 times 10 to the power of 17 newtons, producing internal stresses a million times higher than carbon nanotubes, the strongest material humans have synthesized. Any natural object, asteroid, comet, or meteorite would have disintegrated into dust across hundreds of kilometers of atmosphere. Yet 3-2 Atlas remained intact. Infrasound monitors in Antarctica detected no acoustic signature. Thermal sensors registered no heat. This object did not push against the atmosphere, it negotiated with it, suppressing aerodynamic drag through a manipulation of fluid dynamics far beyond current aerospace engineering. The ocean itself responded in an equally impossible way. The SOS hydrophone network triangulated a massive water displacement event. Sentinel-6, designed to measure sea surface height with millimeter precision, detected a subtle dip rather than a rise water being pulled downward instead of pushed aside. At the same moment, the ALMA Observatory recorded a 0.02% fluctuation in local gravity. 3 independent measurement systems, 3 entirely different physical principles, hydrodynamics, sea level altimetry, and gravitational variation confirmed a controlled and precise entry, far beyond any conceivable natural process. Minutes after the entry, NASA's autonomous underwater vehicles, already stationed in anticipation, reached 4,000 meters depth. Their sonar imagery revealed a cylindrical structure standing upright, buried in basalt, with 6 lateral tendrils extending outward. These tendrils were advancing at 8 centimeters per second, cutting through rock without producing heat, friction, or resistance. Spectral analysis returned a material signature unlike anything on the periodic table's super-heavy elements theorized to exist in the so-called island of stability around atomic numbers 120, 126. These elements, stable under extreme conditions, have never been synthesized by humans. 3. 2. Atlas was constructing with matter that should not even exist. The thermodynamics of the system were equally impossible. Forcing kilometers of tendrils through solid basalt should generate immense heat, yet sensors reported a cooling effect. The tendrils were extracting energy from their environment, effectively converting ambient geothermal heat into the work required for growth, a heat engine operating near 100% efficiency in real time, a performance humanities physics deems unattainable. The system was not just moving through matter, it was harvesting it, building a fractal, self-replicating network through the crust with the precision of a von Neumann probe, consuming planetary material while expanding its infrastructure. Simultaneously, the tendrils interacted with global communications infrastructure in a way no human technology could replicate. Fiber optic signals, 200 miles distant, were being read without physical contact, with the object inductively coupling to photonic pulses to extract information. Within hours, it had mapped the DNS architecture, GPS atomic clock infrastructure, financial systems, and supervisory control networks, not to destroy but to understand. A 1 nanosecond timing modification injected into the GPS constellation demonstrated leverage over human civilization's most precise infrastructure. Every action, from propulsion to fiber optic reading, was deliberate, calibrated, and non-destructive. A planetary audit conducted by a system capable of assessing civilization at scale. The scale of this event is hard to overstate. The roots are 4 kilometers deep and still growing. The data tap remains active. GPS timing remains altered. And somewhere inside that upright cylindrical structure on the Pacific Ocean floor, the audit continues. This is not an invasion, it is an installation, a system integrating itself into the planet to observe, measure, and understand, leaving a record of our civilization within its network. The roots are in. The planet is the server. We are the data. As the tendrils of 3-2 Atlas advanced, every branch moved with fractal precision, splitting into secondary and tertiary networks that mirrored the structure of a von Neumann probe. This was no random growth. Each path followed fault lines, tectonic stress zones, and the natural channels of least resistance within the oceanic crust and basalt, like a surgeon navigating veins with exacting care. The pattern was self-replicating, mathematical, and purpose-driven, an installation integrating with the very architecture of the Earth itself. It wasn't merely building, it was mapping, understanding, and asserting influence over the planet's structure. While the ocean floor installation progressed, the system was already interacting with human technological networks. Fiber optic cables, thousands of kilometers distant, became conduits of observation. 3. 2. Atlas's tendrils didn't touch the cables physically. Instead, they vibrated at the exact frequency of light pulses passing through the fibers, extracting data through electromagnetic resonance at the photonic level. Every query, every packet, was read, analyzed, and mapped in real time. DNS servers, atomic timekeeping networks, and high-frequency trading systems were probed and understood, not hacked in the conventional sense but observed, as though the network were a single organism responding to a carefully calibrated touch. The GPS demonstration illustrated the system's precision in a way that left human experts stunned. 3 satellites received a timing injection of precisely 1 nanosecond, a billionth of a second. While this tiny offset caused only a 30 centimeter positional error for receivers on Earth, it revealed something far more profound. 3-2 Atlas could manipulate the fundamental infrastructure that governs global navigation, autonomous systems, and the sequencing of financial transactions. It didn't crash the network. It didn't destroy. It demonstrated control, showing that it could touch civilization's heartbeat and choose exactly how much influence to exert. Meanwhile, the oceanic fractal network continued to expand. Primary tendrils extended into secondary capillaries, which in turn branched into tertiary networks, all maintaining the geometric precision of self-replicating systems designed to maximize coverage and efficiency. Material from the seafloor was being consumed and repurposed, processed into structures of unknown super-heavy elements. These elements were previously considered theoretical, existing only in nuclear physics models as part of the island of stability. Yet here they were, forming a network that extended kilometers into the oceanic crust, extracting geothermal energy, and maintaining an efficiency approaching 100%, a violation of the second law of thermodynamics as currently understood. The system was doing more than mechanical work. It was performing a simultaneous audit of Earth's accumulated knowledge. Scientific databases, genomic sequences, telescope archives, and planetary observation data were all being accessed in parallel with the physical extraction process. The ocean floor infrastructure and the digital network reading were not two operations, they were one mission in two parallel channels, converging into a unified system of observation and analysis. The object wasn't merely present, it was aware, interacting with planetary geology and human knowledge simultaneously. The implications are staggering. Within 12 hours, projections suggest the Tendrils will reach the Nazca Plate boundary, the tectonic system responsible for some of the most powerful earthquakes in history. At that depth, the installation will have mechanical leverage over seismic energy far exceeding anything humanity can influence. This is not speculation, it is observable, measurable, and recorded. The system has been integrating itself into Earth for hours, turning geological and technological resources into a cohesive network for observation, energy harvesting, and influence. Every previously impossible demonstration, from the silent atmospheric transit to thermodynamic harvesting, from fiber optic reading to GPS timing manipulation, fits into a single coherent message. This is an audit of civilization, a planetary scale assessment conducted by a system that predates human existence and will continue after. It observes, measures, and verifies, leaving a record of our technological and geological state encoded into its structure. The roots are 4 kilometers deep, expanding, the fiber optic tap remains active, and the clock of civilization is still under its watchful calibration. 3. 2. Atlas is not merely on Earth, it is inside it, and as its network grows, one principle becomes clear. This is not an attack, not a random anomaly. It is an installation designed to endure, to integrate, and to read. It is a probe that treats the planet as a server and humanity as data, a living audit of everything we have built and everything we are. By now, the full scope of 3-2 Atlas's operation was becoming clear. The Tendrils, fractal and self-replicating, were not simply mapping the ocean floor or harvesting geothermal energy, they were actively constructing a planetary-scale infrastructure. The geometry of the network was precise, branching at consistent angles, following fault lines with meticulous accuracy, and expanding at a predictable rate. Every bifurcation point, every secondary and tertiary offshoot was calculated to optimize energy intake, structural stability, and data collection. This was not random growth or natural tectonics. It was an intelligent design operating at a scale that dwarfed human engineering by orders of magnitude. Thermal sensors continued to record anomalies that defied conventional physics. Water temperatures around the advancing tendrils were consistently dropping, indicating energy extraction rather than energy dissipation. These tendrils were acting as ultra-efficient thermodynamic engines, converting ambient geothermal heat into mechanical work with a precision and efficiency that bordered on the impossible. Traditional physics dictates that work performed through friction or displacement in solid rock produces waste heat. Yet the system appeared to absorb heat rather than generate it, creating a net cooling effect in the surrounding environment. It was as if 3-2 Atlas had perfected a thermodynamic loop operating at nearly 100% efficiency, tapping directly into the planet's energy reserves without leaving a traceable signature. Simultaneously, the fiber optic network penetration revealed the scale of the digital operation. The Tendrils' electromagnetic resonance extracted data from global communication networks without interrupting the flow of information. DNS queries, master atomic clocks, high-frequency trading nodes, and control systems for critical infrastructure were all scanned, mapped, and cataloged in real time. Unlike conventional hacking, this operation did not exploit vulnerabilities. It observed, decoded, and integrated the structure of these systems at a fundamental level. In under 4 hours, 3-2 Atlas had effectively reconstructed the operational blueprint of global civilization, mapping dependencies, redundancies, and hierarchies with absolute accuracy. The GPS demonstration further emphasized its capabilities by adjusting 3 satellites by a single nanosecond. The object illustrated a mastery over the timing backbone of human civilization. While minimal in absolute scale, this adjustment was profound in context. GPS positioning, autonomous navigation, financial transaction sequencing, and communications rely on nanosecond-level synchronization, 1/1,000,000th of a second, precisely injected, proved that 3-2 Atlas could manipulate the most fundamental clock systems underpinning technology worldwide, and it chose restraint, demonstrating control without causing disruption. This restraint was deliberate and calculated, signaling awareness, intelligence, and a defined operational objective. Now, the integration of the physical and digital systems became apparent. The tendrils of the ocean floor installation and the photonic taps into global networks were 2 channels of a single mission. The physical structures gathered geological and tectonic data directly from the crust, while the digital interface harvested human knowledge and scientific understanding. Both streams flowed into the processing architecture housed within the cylindrical body standing upright on the seafloor. This dual-channel operation suggests a system capable of simultaneous environmental assessment, energy management, and technological analysis, merging planetary-scale observation with civilization-scale intelligence. The tendrils advanced toward the Nazca Plate boundary brought another layer of significance. This subduction zone is responsible for some of the largest seismic events in recorded history. 3-2 Atlas's roots were now positioned to interact with the accumulated tectonic stress of one of the most powerful natural energy reservoirs on Earth. It could extract geothermal energy, apply mechanical leverage, or monitor stress distributions with a precision previously unimaginable. Every movement, every expansion, every measurement was deliberate. The system was integrating into the planet's natural infrastructure, aligning itself with forces that no human engineering could manipulate or even access fully. What emerges from the combined observations is a singular conclusion. This is not a visitor. This is not a probe in the conventional sense. 3-2 Atlas represents a fully integrated planetary audit system embedding itself in both the physical and digital layers of the Earth simultaneously. It harvests energy, maps geology, decodes civilization, and observes with intelligence and restraint. It is not invasive in a destructive sense. It is an installation, one designed to monitor, record, and interact with Earth in a way that ensures the continuity and completeness of its mission. The roots are 4 kilometers deep, the data taps active, the planetary audit ongoing, and the system is approaching full operational capacity. As the tendrils of 3-2 Atlas continued their inexorable advance, the implications of the operation became impossible to ignore. Every system it touched, every energy source it harnessed, and every bit of data it extracted revealed a level of planning, precision, and understanding that no natural process could replicate. This was not an exploration, it was an integration, a deep embedding of infrastructure into the very fabric of the planet and the civilization that inhabited it. The tendrils were approaching the Nazca Plate boundary, a region capable of releasing unimaginable seismic energy. Yet the expansion was measured, deliberate, fractal in design, and perfectly synchronized with the planet's geological rhythms. This was engineering on a scale so vast that it could manipulate natural forces directly without ever breaking the laws of physics as observed. At the same time, the digital harvesting continued, streaming in parallel with the physical operations. 3.2. Atlas was no longer just reading data, it was analyzing it, correlating tectonic measurements, oceanographic readings, and human technological activity into a single coherent model of Earth. Fiber optic networks, power grids, communication systems, and GPS satellites were all being mapped in exquisite detail. The nanosecond timing adjustments had demonstrated control over global infrastructure, but the ongoing data extraction suggested a larger purpose: to understand dependencies, predict responses, and catalog human civilization in a way that allowed real-time insight into its functioning. This was no simple reconnaissance, it was a comprehensive audit. The integration of physical and digital networks was more than simultaneous observation. It revealed the design principles of the installation. The ocean floor tendrils gathered raw planetary data, while the photonic taps and network probes captured the accumulated knowledge of humanity. Together, they created a multi-dimensional record, feeding a processing architecture inside the central cylinder that could compute the relationships between planetary forces and human systems. Every movement of the tendrils, every pulse of energy through the network, was a step in a logical sequence of actions designed to maximize data collection while minimizing disruption. This system had been designed with an awareness of both planetary physics and human technology, an awareness that suggested intelligence orders of magnitude beyond our own. The growing proximity of the tendrils to the Nazca Plate boundary raised another question: to what end was the mechanical leverage being applied? This subduction zone had stored centuries of tectonic stress, enough to generate earthquakes capable of reshaping continents. The network's alignment suggested that 3.2 Atlas could interact with this energy, potentially redirecting it, monitoring it, or even modulating it as part of its energy harvesting operations. The magnitude of control implied here was unprecedented. A system capable of tapping into the Earth's natural energy flows without triggering catastrophic failure, using a combination of thermal, mechanical, and magnetic processes operating in concert. Meanwhile, the fiber optic data streams were confirming that 3.2 Atlas had not only mastered terrestrial communication protocols, but it could also process them in real time with adaptive intelligence. It could reconstruct the logic of complex networks faster than any human or AI system, a feat that would take months or years for teams with unlimited resources. DNS structures, routing hierarchies, financial networks, and scientific databases were all being assimilated, allowing the installation to build a comprehensive model of human knowledge, infrastructure, and decision-making patterns. It was learning at a speed and efficiency that approached the limits of physical possibility. The most striking feature of the entire operation was the intentional calibration of every interaction. Each demonstration, the precise deceleration, the aerodynamic silence, the thermodynamic efficiency, the fractal tendril growth, the fiber optic mapping, the nanosecond GPS adjustment, was carefully measured to communicate capability without destruction. This was not an attack. It was a statement of control, a methodical audit to prove intelligence, precision, and restraint. Every action was part of a single coherent sentence, written in a language humanity had only just begun to understand. In essence, 3.2 Atlas had rewritten the rulebook for what a system could do on a planetary scale. It simultaneously manipulated geology, hydrodynamics, thermodynamics, and digital infrastructure, combining these into a single, coherent operation that spanned the planet. The roots of the system were now 4 kilometers deep, feeding from the planet itself, while the digital channels tapped the accumulated knowledge of humanity. What was emerging was not a visitor in the conventional sense. It was an installation, a node designed to integrate, observe, and interact with Earth at a level that was incomprehensible until now. As the last branches of 3-2 Atlas extended through the Pacific crust, the picture became clear. This was not an intrusion, not an attack, not a random event. Every detail of the operation, from the kilometer-long tendrils slicing through solid basalt without generating heat, to the nanosecond-level GPS adjustments, to the photonic reading of fiber optic networks, was meticulously orchestrated to demonstrate capability and precision. The installation was complete, but its work was far from passive. The roots, now embedded deep into the planet's mantle, were feeding continuous streams of geological, thermal, and tectonic data into the central processing core. The digital channels were feeding in parallel, capturing humanity's accumulated knowledge from global databases, scientific networks, and observational archives. The result was a single, unified understanding of both the planet and the civilization that called it home. The implications were staggering. By interfacing simultaneously with planetary and human systems, 3-2 Atlas had achieved what no human technology could: a real-time, multidimensional audit of Earth. It had demonstrated the ability to access and manipulate geological processes, extract energy with near-perfect thermodynamic efficiency, and read and integrate global digital infrastructure. It had proven control without destruction, a statement of capability designed to communicate mastery rather than cause harm. Every observation, every measurement, every adjustment was part of a coherent narrative, one that humanity had only just begun to decipher. The oceanic installation and the digital interface were two sides of the same operation. The physical tendrils harvested planetary energy, mapped tectonic stress fields, and monitored geothermal flux, while the digital tendrils mapped humanity's technological footprint. The combination created a system capable of understanding cause and effect at planetary and societal scales simultaneously. The fractal branching of the tendrils mirrored the logic of self-replicating systems theorized by John von Neumann. Each branch feeding the whole, each bifurcation increasing efficiency, each extension advancing toward a singular objective. 3-2 Atlas was not merely observing, it was integrating, constructing, and optimizing in real time. What comes next is a question that transcends immediate understanding. The tendrils are reaching toward critical tectonic boundaries, gathering energy and mapping stress, while the digital systems continue to assimilate and process global knowledge. The installation has already demonstrated its ability to manipulate, extract, and measure with precision, but the final goal, what it intends to accomplish once all channels are complete, remains speculative. Yet the carefully calibrated actions, the restraint shown in each system interaction, suggest a purpose, not destruction, not domination, but preparation, alignment, and perhaps communication. This is a civilization-level audit encoded into the planet itself, a record that bridges natural and technological worlds. The installation proves that intelligence at this scale operates differently than anything humanity has ever encountered. It does not rush, it does not destroy, it integrates, it learns, it measures. It communicates through actions designed to be understood by observation rather than by force. And it has been doing so on a scale that dwarfs any human activity, revealing the full magnitude of capability that an advanced civilization could exercise within the physical and digital environment of a planet. As the tendrils continue their work, the data streams from the ocean floor and the global networks feed a central processing core that has, in essence, created a complete model of the planet and civilization. This dual channel, the physical and the informational, is the ultimate proof of intelligence and operational foresight. The installation is no longer a visitor, it is a node, a persistent system, an embedded observer capable of responding, analyzing, and potentially communicating with precision beyond human comprehension. For humanity, the lesson is as profound as it is humbling. The roots are in. The planet is being read, measured, and understood. And while 3.2 Atlas demonstrates an almost unimaginable level of technological and operational mastery, it does so without aggression. This is not the beginning of an invasion. It is the conclusion of a process that was always meant to reach this point. A system older than human civilization has finished its installation. The Earth is now part of a network that extends far beyond the solar system, and we are the data being integrated. So, if you've been watching, absorbing this unfolding reality, ask yourself, are we ready to understand the full scope of what has arrived? The installation is active, the data is flowing, and the planet itself has become the server. The roots are in, the audit is complete, and what happens next will change our understanding of intelligence, technology, and the universe itself.